At 72 years old, he thought the spark was gone for good. For over 15 years, intimacy felt like a distant memory. But within a matter of weeks, everything changed. Not because of medication or surgery, but because of something as simple as the right kind of wine. No prescriptions, no embarrassment. Just 4 specific wines that helped open up blood vessels, boost circulation, and reignite a sense of warmth and closeness that many assume vanishes with age. My name is Dr. James, and I've spent more than 3 decades focused on men's wellness and age-related energy. In that time, I've helped thousands of individuals across the US reclaim their strength, confidence, and emotional connection. And what I've learned might just surprise you. Physical closeness in your 60s and beyond isn't gone, it simply needs the proper support. And sometimes that support isn't found in a pill bottle, but in a wine glass. While many see wine as a luxury or treat, some ancient varietals contain natural compounds that enhance blood circulation, soothe vessel walls, and revive desire, all without the side effects of medication or the awkwardness of traditional treatment routes. But not every wine has this effect. Only a select few offer these powerful results. Why do these 4 wines stand out, and how can they help restore your sense of vitality and connection? That's exactly what we're going to uncover. But first, let me walk you through why they work so well, especially in aging bodies, and how a simple, enjoyable routine has transformed the lives of so many people just like you. As we enter our 60s and 70s, the body begins to shift in ways we don't always notice at first. These changes aren't always dramatic. They're subtle, gradual, and easy to overlook until they start affecting how we feel, how we move, and even how we connect with our partners. One of the most important changes that often goes undetected is what's happening inside our blood vessels. With time, those vessels tend to lose their natural flexibility. They tighten, stiffen, and no longer allow blood to move as smoothly as it once did. This isn't just a cardiovascular concern, it touches nearly every aspect of well-being, from energy levels and mental clarity, to one of the most quietly distressing issues in later life, physical intimacy. Here's something I make sure to tell every person who visits my practice: if you're over 60 and feeling distant, less responsive, or emotionally detached in your relationship, the issue probably isn't hormonal. It's not your desire, it's your circulation. When blood doesn't reach certain parts of the body properly, especially those involved in intimacy, the effects become noticeable. You might feel colder, more fatigued, less in touch with your emotions, or even disconnected during moments of closeness. That's not aging. That's poor blood flow. The upside: there's a way to address it. And for many of my patients, the answer is already sitting in their kitchen cabinet. Surprisingly, the solution doesn't require drastic changes or medical interventions. In fact, one of the simplest and most enjoyable ways to support healthy blood flow comes from certain types of wine, not just any wine, and definitely not overindulging, but specific varieties that, when used intentionally and in moderation, can have a powerful impact. Some red wines are naturally rich in healing compounds like polyphenols, resveratrol, and flavonoids, natural substances that relax blood vessels, ease inflammation, and improve how oxygen moves through the body. These compounds signal the body to release nitric oxide, which helps open vessels and support better circulation. With improved blood flow, people often feel more awake, more emotionally available, and more open to closeness. It's not the alcohol that matters, it's the unique compounds inside the grapes. But not every bottle offers the same benefits. Only specific wines, processed and grown under the right conditions, contain enough of these active elements to create real lasting change. That's why I recommend 4 particular wines to my patients, each one known to improve circulation, enhance emotional and physical connection, and restore that feeling of aliveness, without drugs, awkward conversations, or risk. Let's dive into the first one, and discover what makes it a true game changer. Pino Noir. The circulation champion. One of the first wines I recommend to my aging clients is Pino Noir, and the results have often been nothing short of remarkable. I'll never forget a 67-year-old gentleman who came into my office, visibly moved. His voice trembled as he said, "Dr. James, I thought that part of my relationship was over, but something shifted. We feel close again." All it took was a few mindful sips of the right wine, shared with intention. Pinot Noir isn't just a favorite because of its smooth finish or refined aroma. What makes it truly special lies in the deep layers of its grape skins. This variety contains one of the highest natural concentrations of resveratrol, a potent plant-based compound known to help blood vessels become more elastic and free-flowing. In plain terms, it gently encourages the veins and arteries to open back up, letting blood reach the areas that matter most for closeness, arousal, and connection. As we age, those vessels naturally become rigid. That's not your fault, it's simply how the body works over time. But when blood can't flow freely, everything else begins to dull. Touch, response, emotional warmth. And many people mistakenly assume this is just what aging feels like. But I've seen the opposite happen. Just a few evenings a week with a glass of Pinot Noir, paired with healthier routines, and my patients report feeling transformed. Their sleep improves, they wake up feeling lighter and more energized. And during the moments that matter, the shared glances, the lingering touches, they feel alive again, not just physically but emotionally. Pinot Noir works not by forcing the body into action, but by gently supporting its natural rhythm. Unlike medications that can overwhelm or come with side effects, this wine acts like a quiet partner, encouraging openness, flow, and warmth. It's not a shortcut, it's a support system for your body's original design. There's something beautifully symbolic about that. A wine known for its silky texture, helping to smooth over the distance that time might have created between two people. It reminds them what it feels like to just be together again, without pressure, without expectation. And yet this is only the beginning. There's another wine I recommend just as often, bold, rich, and known for something I like to call artery protection. It's especially powerful for those who feel a dip in their physical energy, or want to restore the strength in their heart, in every sense of the word. Let's move to that next. Cabernet Sauvignon, the artery defender. Or remember a couple who visited me not too long ago, married over 4 decades, still deeply in love, but quietly struggling. He was 70, she was 68. He looked me in the eye and said, "It's like there's a barrier between us. Not emotional, just physical. I want to be close, but my body doesn't keep up anymore." I listened, and one of the first things I gently recommended was introducing small servings of Cabernet Sauvignon into their routine. Not as an escape, but as a tool, a way to reconnect with intention and care. Cabernet Sauvignon is more than a robust red wine with a bold taste. It's a powerhouse of natural antioxidants, particularly a group known as proanthocyanidins. These compounds are incredibly effective at supporting the lining of blood vessels, keeping them resilient and responsive as we age. Think of them as protectors for your arteries, preserving the natural flexibility needed for smooth blood flow, and this really matters. Every day your heart moves roughly 2,000 gallons of blood throughout your body, but when the vessels become stiff, narrowed, or inflamed, circulation slows. This means less oxygen reaching essential areas, reduced sensitivity, and slower physical response, for both men and women. What once felt effortless now feels strained, and that affects connection on every level. That's where Cabernet steps in. When used in moderation, it helps revitalize circulation naturally. Some of my patients say they feel warmth returning to their hands and feet, others sleep more deeply. But the most common response, we feel close again. When circulation improves, it's not just about physiology, it's about how touch feels, how emotion flows, and how connection becomes less about performance and more about presence. Everything softens, the pressure fades, the intimacy feels natural, like it used to. The best time to enjoy Cabernet Sauvignon is in the evening, alongside a small meal. It eases the body into rest, opens up the vessels, and creates a relaxed, receptive space for emotional and physical closeness. There's no trick here, just nature working hand in hand with the body's own systems. And while Cabernet plays a strong and essential role, there's another wine I often recommend, lesser known, but powerfully effective. I call it the warmth restorer, and for couples who feel like the spark has faded, it has brought surprising results. Let's explore it next. Sangiovese, the warmth restorer. Several years ago, I met a woman named Margaret. She was 67, widowed for some time, and had recently entered a new relationship. During one of our quiet conversations, she said something that stuck with me. "I want to feel again, not just in my heart, but in my body, but everything feels distant." That quiet longing, the desire to reconnect physically and emotionally, is something I hear often. At a certain point in life, desire doesn't vanish, but the sense of warmth and ease that once came with intimacy can fade. The touch that used to send signals now feels muted. That's when I introduced Margaret to a simple ritual involving one of the most overlooked wines in circulation health, Sangiovese. This classic Italian red is often admired for its flavor, but what lies beneath its surface is what makes it a quiet champion for aging bodies. Sangiovese is naturally rich in flavonoids and a plant antioxidant known as quercetin. Together they support improved blood circulation, not just to the heart and brain, but to the extremities, the hands, feet, skin and pelvic region, where touch, sensitivity, and emotional response begin. For people over 60, this can be life-changing. As circulation returns, so does the ability to feel, not just physically, but emotionally. Patients describe moments like, "I didn't realize how disconnected I felt until I wasn't anymore," or "when he held my hand, it felt new again, alive." The beauty of Sangiovese is in its subtlety. It doesn't force anything. It simply encourages the body to restore presence, to reawaken the small things, a hand resting on another, the warmth of a shared moment, the comfort of being close again. And it does so naturally, without medication, without discomfort, and without rushing the process. I often suggest enjoying this wine during a slow afternoon, or early evening, on the porch, during a meal, or just in quiet conversation. That's where it works best, not just as a beverage, but as a shared experience, a space where two people come back to each other. Margaret later told me, "It wasn't just that I felt different physically, it was that I remembered I could still feel it all." That kind of rediscovery doesn't require a prescription. Sometimes, all it takes is the right support, and the right kind of wine. Still, for all the beauty Sangiovese brings, there's one more wine I recommend, especially for women. It's soft, light, and often ignored. Yet it holds the key to addressing one of the most intimate struggles that come with menopause and aging. Let's take a look at that final piece of the puzzle. Rosé Dry, the hidden gem for women. Her name was Ellen, 66 years old, radiant and sharp-witted, with a spark that filled the room. But when we sat down one-on-one, her smile gave way to quiet vulnerability. "I love my husband deeply," she said softly, "but I don't feel at home in my own body anymore, and it's affecting everything." What Ellen shared with me is something I've heard from many women over the age of 60. It's not about a lack of love or even desire. It's about the physical changes that create emotional distance. The transition through menopause, the hormonal shifts, and the subtle decline in blood flow all play a role in how a woman experiences touch, closeness, and connection. That's when I recommended something gentle, a wine that's often dismissed as light or casual, yet carries powerful benefits, Dry Rosé. Not the overly sweet kind you find at summer parties, but true dry rosés, made from grapes like Grenache or Mourvedre. These wines are low in alcohol, but high in compounds that support circulation on a micro level, especially to delicate, sensitive areas affected by aging. In women, circulation to these regions naturally decreases over time, leading to dryness, lower sensitivity, and sometimes discomfort during intimacy. Dry Rosé contains natural vasodilators, compounds that gently widen blood vessels, improve oxygen flow, and bring subtle warmth and responsiveness back to areas often neglected by traditional health advice. When Ellen began incorporating small servings of Dry Rosé into her weekly routine, always with food, always in moderation, she noticed more than just physical relief. Her confidence began to return. She smiled more. She felt connected to herself again. It wasn't about turning back the clock, she told me. It was about reclaiming my relationship with my body. That's what makes Dry Rosé so powerful. It doesn't try to reverse time. It quietly reminds women that they're still capable of feeling, of experiencing joy, comfort, closeness, on their own terms. Over the years I've seen the impact firsthand. Couples who stopped holding hands now linger in each other's touch. Women who once felt invisible begin to talk about their bodies with pride instead of shame. All from a few intentional natural choices that bring circulation and closeness back into focus. But wine is just one part of the journey. When these small rituals are paired with the right mindset, honest connection, and emotional presence, something incredible happens. Let's talk about how to turn all of this into a lasting, nourishing lifestyle. Over the past 30 years, I've had the privilege of working with countless men and women in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. I've sat across from people who truly believed their most intimate, meaningful days were behind them. Often they didn't say it outright. It was in their tone, the heaviness behind their eyes, the unspoken grief of losing a part of themselves. But I've also seen those same people light up again. Not because of a miracle treatment, but because they made one small decision to care for their circulation, and in doing so, reopen the door to connection. What's most incredible is that it often begins around something as simple and familiar as the dinner table, a shared meal, a meaningful pause, a quiet glass of wine. Not just any wine, but the four we've talked about: Pino Noir, which gently opens the pathways of blood flow, bringing back energy and responsiveness; Cabernet Sauvignon, which protects the arteries and helps restore steady, vital circulation; Sangiovese, which rekindles warmth, physical awareness, and emotional closeness; and Dry Rosé, a subtle supporter of female vitality and sensitivity, especially post-menopause. Each of these wines plays a unique role, but together they do something far more important. They bring back ritual, that moment of slowing down, of looking at your partner across the table with the kind of attention that says, "I'm still here, and I still care." For many couples, the decades are filled with responsibilities: raising children, managing careers, navigating life's constant motion. Then one day the noise fades, and you're left with quiet. For some, that quiet feels peaceful. For others, it feels empty. What I've found is that when people begin reintroducing these small shared rituals, a glass of wine, an intentional moment of stillness, a meaningful conversation, the relationship begins to change. The emotional atmosphere softens, laughter returns, touch becomes familiar again, not foreign. Because here's the truth: the body doesn't forget how to connect, it just needs to be reminded. When circulation is supported both physically and emotionally, the heart follows, so does desire, so does joy. Wine, of course, isn't a cure-all. It won't solve every challenge, but when paired with gentle movement, open communication, and a willingness to stay present, it becomes part of a much deeper transformation, a lifestyle rooted in connection. If I could leave you with one final thought, it's this: don't wait. Don't wait for a doctor's warning or a difficult moment to start taking care of your body and your bond. Begin now, with something as simple as a small glass of Pinot shared over dinner, or a light rosé sipped while watching the sunset with your partner. Those quiet moments, those simple intentional acts, are what strengthen the real arteries that matter, the ones between your hearts. You're not too old. You haven't missed your chance. In fact, you may be entering the most meaningful chapter of all, one where love is deeper, presence is fuller, and connection is more intentional than ever before. So here's to your next glass, to the closeness it brings, and to the life that's still waiting to be fully embraced. If this message spoke to something in you, if it reminded you that intimacy and energy don't have an expiration date, then please consider liking, sharing, or leaving a comment below. You never know who else might need that reminder too. Because it's never too late to feel fully alive.